Hello, my name is Andrew, you can call me Cookies, and in this video we will be covering the affixes present in Mythic Plus this week, as well as some build templates for all the healing specs to help you push some keys. The affixes that are present this week are Fortified, Bursting, and Volcanic. Overall, this is a very simple combination of affixes to deal with that are not overly punishing or ruin a key's timer in any way, so long as we as the healer come prepared to each dungeon. Since the affixes only truly halt a key's progress and really stop us from reaching that timer if they actually kill a player in the party. So it should be our job to ensure we are keeping people topped off for the mistakes that will likely happen in pug groups with causing too many bursting stacks to apply at once or players standing in Volcanic. Starting off with the Resto Druid talents, we should be taking a talent setup similar to this one here, with the real changeable talents being Cenarian Ward and Cultivation to Prosperity and Soul of the Forest if you prefer that kind of playstyle, which can also help react to Volcanic a little bit better. As well as Stonebark and Photosynthesis being viable options if that again is your preferred playstyle and you don't feel like you need the extra healing from the other talents. Again, as long as we are keeping our group topped off to allow for mistakes to be made with Bursting and Volcanic, we are going to time the key since these affixes aren't going to hold us back and requiring us as the healer to help input a significant portion of damage just to have a chance in timing the key. So relax a little bit on cat weaving and instead focus on your Sunfire and Moonfire uptime while keeping the group essentially overhealed and prepared for mistakes to be made. For essences here, I like the Ever-Rising Tide, Vision of Perfection, Memory of Lucid Dreams, or Crucible of Flame as all viable major options, while taking Well of Existence, Spirit of Preservation, and Conflict and Strife as minor essences. Both Ever-Rising Tide and Vision of Perfection help us with the idea of being well prepared and more than capable to heal every heavy set of bursting stacks. Just keep an eye on whether mobs begin to get low HP or not. Use the Ever-Rising Tide when they are, and apply 1 to 2 rejuves per person, and then Wild Growth as the mobs begin to actually die and Bursting begins to apply and deal damage to your group. If they refresh stacks at a poor time and you're struggling to keep people topped off with more rejuves and then using group regrowths, don't hesitate to Tranquility to get the group fully stabilized. Next up we have the Mistweaver Monk, in which I like to run a fairly common talent setup with the exception of utilizing Refreshing Jade Wind or Invoke Chi-Ji instead of the typical Jade Servant statue build. Other than this, I think Manatee is better for bursting, as you will usually find yourself spamming Vivify as the group begins taking damage from bursting. More specifically, you should be looking to have 2 to 3 Renewing Mist out on the party by the time that the mobs start dying and applying bursting, at which point you should throw a quick channel of Essence Fawn out, cancel it once everyone in the party has the buff from it, and then proceed to spam Vivify on the lowest health party members. Keep in mind you should be hard casting Vivify rather than using Soothing Mist and then Vivify, because it's actually more healing per second to just cast 2 Vivifies in about the same amount of time that it would take you to cast Soothing Mist and then apply some Vivifies. For major essences, the Ever-Rising Tide for the most healing output during bursting damage, Memory of Lucid Dreams for more mana and a good active to use right before bursting for the bonus leech that it gives you, and Vision of Perfection for more cooldown usage availability to help with more frequent pulls which cause the group to kind of constantly be low HP through the dungeon so that the random procs from Vision are actually being useful. These majors are all, I feel like, great choices for helping deal with the affix combos this week in more like unfiltered groups like pugs and whatnot that aren't as organized with how they deal with bursting. As far as minor essences go, Conflict and Strife, Spirit of Preservation, and Well of Existence should be your go-tos, and it kind of just stays as simple as that. Choosing a talent setup for Resto Shaman for this week's affixes is very much up to preference in a lot of cases, but personally I am much more in favor to running a build focused on Unleash Life and High Tide for mid-range pug groups, as I don't have to rely on a big cooldown like Ascendance or single target healing from Undulation to keep the group alive during bursting. Other viable talent options to give thought to include Deluge if your group is likely to stay stacked in your healing rain as the mobs die, Downpour if you're having a hard time properly setting up your Cloudburst totem, since it's more just kind of like on-demand extra healing to the group. And one thing to note is to never take Ancestral Vigor this week, as it makes bursting actually hit your group for more damage, resulting in the talent actually being a decrease in the amount of survivability your group has during bursting. For major essences, I would recommend Memory of Lucid Dreams, Lifebinder's Invocation, or Vision of Perfection. These are all good options and are mostly dependent on what you prefer, so I would just try them all out and pick one based on your needs. Minor essences should include Conflict and Strife, Ever-Rising Tide, and Well of Existence, as these give the biggest boost to your healing during bursting as minor essences and help you react a little bit quicker with healing you have saved up in the well when players get hit by the Volcanics. Discipline Priest on bursting weeks, it's a challenge, but it's not impossible or bad like some people like to think it is. Give it a shot and you might just enjoy the challenge that it gives you. For talents, we're going to focus on a more healer-focused build rather than something damage-focused. For this reason, we take talents like Twist of Fate, Shadow Covenant, and Halo or Divine Star. If you're still finding yourself having a hard time to keep up with the bursting, try using Contrition and focus using a majority of your penances on your allies rather than your enemies. Disc Priest major essences should be either the Ever-Rising Tide, the Well of Existence, or the Crucible of Flame. For minors, just be sure to run whichever essence you didn't put as your major between the Ever-Rising Tide and Well of Existence. And in the last 2 slots, you should probably have Conflict and Strife along with Unwavering Ward or Spirit of Preservation, depending again on your preference. Holy Priests get to shine a bit more this week than their healing off-spec counterpart, where we will be taking a talent tree more focused on burst AoE healing with things like Cosmic Ripple and Circle of Healing. Only talent that can be swapped based on your comfort level with healing bursting is probably Guardian Angel over Cosmic Ripple if you are wanting a more tank-centric cooldown to be available like you might be used to if you play Holy on non-bursting weeks. Our major essence should either be Lifebinder's Invocation or the Well of Existence, while our minor essences should include the Ever-Rising Tide, Conflict and Strife, and Unwavering Ward or Vision of Perfection. For Paladins this week, we will assume you're playing the Glimmer build, sorry if you're not, in which case we should be running a pretty typical talent setup for dungeons, except that we will be switching out Crusader's Might for Bestow Faith, and also Divine Purpose for Beacon of Virtue. These talents just help us be a little bit more reactive to bursting and will help increase the amount of healing we do during bursting. For Paladin major essences, I would recommend Well of Existence or Vision of Perfection, while slotting Conflict and Strife, Ever-Rising Tide, and Spirit of Preservation as your minors. And with all the classes covered, that wraps up our quick overview of build templates for Healer's Keys this week. If you have any questions, leave a comment below or come join our Discord community where you can get in contact with me very easily and I would be happy to discuss further all things healing with you. Have a wonderful day, smile, stay safe, and happy healing.